G'day and welcome back to another episode of Mates with Snakes. Today we're building reptile enclosures outdoors using these big blocks behind me. Big massive pieces of sandstone. Now the idea we've got is to cut a flat pit, basically a pad, nice and level. We're going to lay black plastic down and lay the blocks on top, and we'll go from there. Each little bit will be in stages. This is probably the easiest stage and the hard stuff's yet to come. The chooks definitely don't mind a bit of fresh dirt cut up, digging in and getting all the worms. So you can see behind me we've got the blocks in place and these cages now placed on top. So let's go through and have a look and I'll tell you all about the dimensions of the cage. So the cages themselves are 1.8 by 1.8 meters. Now I've just got, you can see here that the cages are made of that aluminium tubing and the little plastic joiners and some mesh on top. So pretty simple design. Got the doors opening there and we've got a bigger flip door on that side of each cage. The tops will probably keep bare and then that will suck up the heat and create basking spots all the way around the cage. So it doesn't matter where the sun's coming in, there's going to be a basking spot at some point in the cage. Now I'm still deciding on how to design the look of each cage individually and inside, whether to make them all the same or, you know, make kind of 3 different settings, I suppose you could say. But we'll wait and see. And so the next stage now will be to render all the gaps with a bit of concrete so that there is no way that these animals can escape. As you saw before, we've laid a massive thick plastic down on the floor of each cage just so they cannot dig out. These stones are quite wide as well and quite big, so that's hard on that plastic. All I've got to do is just go around in these little gaps, chuck some concrete, some cement rather, in those little gaps. Okay, so it's time to make some kind of drainage system. I'm going to use the fabric covered pipe and some bricks, literally going to coil the pipe around in the bottom of these pits and use the bricks to kind of place it. So let's go and get started. Here's the pipe that I need to cut down into lengths. It's just got a fabric covering and that will allow, well, you can see the little holes in the pipe too actually. Not sure if you can see that or not. Little holes there. So that pipe's going to allow the water to flow through and out so that the water doesn't bank up on top and obviously harm the lizards. So, and the bricks, I'm just going to place the bricks. The bricks have got the holes in it as well, so that water can drain through, but the bricks are just going to basically hold the entrances of the pipe to the outside. But we'll make it up as we go a little bit, but this will be the drainage layer. Okay, so we have placed our drainage layer and chucked some topsoil on top. We're now looking at how we're going to design each individual pit. First thing I've done is gone to Bunnings and bought some plants. I tried to get, mostly Aussie natives. Hopefully I'll use only Aussie natives, but I do have a couple other things that, if we need to fill it out with, we can use. Things like these little beauties. We can make little rockeries, and plant these in between. This one's a nice little white flower, little Aussie native. And even some of the grasses, but this is, look at that, 50 cents. The other thing I've done is created these hides. Now these are just some 100mm polypipe, and if you can see in there, now I've used an adhesive spray can, some adhesive glue, and that just comes in a spray can, and I've sprayed some astroturf inside those polypipes so that it gives the animals a bit of grip. And if I flip around here, there's one of the pipes buried in place, ready to go. This is a cool little plant. Found this guy, I like this one. This is called Coral Baby. Coral Baby. It's a little shrub. Now this is probably going to be for the blue tongues, because this plant really gets quite wide. 70 centimeters wide, 40 centimeters tall, so it'll create a really good coverage for the blueies to get under, and with the mulch and stuff in here as well. Another one of these Aussie grasses that I've picked up. You can get this kind of stuff fairly cheap and do really inexpensive enclosures with them. Look at that. You can see the price tag there, 50 cents. Now I've got these really big pink rocks that were left over from another project, and I'm thinking I could incorporate these into the pits. Okay, so we're starting to get a few things in place. I thought I'd stop and have a quick look at the substrate choices that I'm going with. Yuki mulch. I'm going to mix it in with this pine bark. I think that might make a nice bed. I don't think that looks too shabby at all. I think that looks awesome. Now we touched base on these cages a little bit, and the idea of these cages is pure protection as well as stopping some potential escapees. But aesthetically, they're not very good to see through. So I'm thinking, and this might be a massive mistake, but I'm actually going to spray paint them. I'm going to spray paint them black, and so that they'll be very visibly pleasing, and you'll be able to see into them a lot easier. And there we have it. All three cage tops are on. Now for the next part, I'm going to have to render the gaps just to make sure that there's no possible way we get anything escaping. So I'll render all the gaps around the cage where the rocks didn't quite sit perfect, but so I'll show you here. There's a spot there. Yep, straight under there. But I think they're looking pretty good. Almost done and ready for some reptiles. Okay, we've just caught our first Cuttingham skink back out of this enclosure, so you guys might remember them being in here first and originally, but now I've decided I've put the blotch blue tongues in here, and this is going to be mainly a blue tongue enclosure. I've closed up the pond and just put some pebbles over it now. The water feature still is running, so shinglebacks and blue tongues can be much more happier in this enclosure. The Cunningham skinks I'm going to take out because I did notice them starting to climb up on there, even though they had the polypipe there to try and stop them. I'm going to put them in the caged enclosures. Okay guys, you might notice a few changes since the last clip. The grass is green and the plants have definitely got a bit more size to them. The enclosures have changed a little bit with a few more decorations, some pebbles, etc, etc. But the main reason why we waited was to give these plants a good chance to establish themselves. And if you have a look here, we planted 2 kangaroo paw right next to each other, and isn't that beautiful? Look at that. I just think that is fantastic. It really makes this enclosure pop. Look at this Aussie native grass that's taken off, and we really wanted to give these plants a chance before we introduce the animals. But the animals are now in. The sides are all rendered up on the cages, so definitely no escapees. But without no further ado, let's see this guy take off. There you go, buddy. And he is in the new enclosure, and we've still got one more to catch, his mate, so we'll go and get him or her. I'm not exactly sure which one's which, and pop them in together. Alrighty. Let me just quickly run through what we've got. So in this end enclosure, we went with the Cunninghams and bearded dragons in here with a couple of little blueies. These blue tongues are basically, you know, Easterns, and I do have one Queensland bluey in here that kind of got picked on by the others, so they went in here. These beardies are centrals, of course, so these guys probably won't be able to stay out here in the winter. They'll come back inside and stay under a nice cozy light, but the blue tongues can definitely stay out here. And in here we've got the other blueies. So in here is the hypermelanistic blacks, and I've kept them separate for obvious reasons. We want them to breed with each other and not with the other normals, so that's what this enclosure holds. And really, I think all the animals are really enjoying it. Hopefully we can spot one of the blacks for you. They're all in there, nice and cozy. It's pretty warm today. And that's why the beardies are out and the blue tongues are away. Well, there you have it, guys. I think these enclosures are now complete. All the animals are in there and they seem to be happy. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and make sure to go on YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification button, like us on Facebook, and we'll see you next time.